Hi everyone, how's it going? I'm Olian, and I felt like making a quick summary video about the Korg M1 plugin version that you can get from the Legacy collection. Um, I just remember when I started using the M1, I felt a bit overwhelmed and even slightly disappointed because I felt like, well, there wasn't that much I could do with it, but it was really that I didn't get the concept or well, all these different things that you can do with the M1. And now looking back, I'm really happy that I stuck to using it because you can create so many different and complex sounds with this single tool that it's something super cool, especially for 50 bucks. It's a very good price for something like that, um, in my opinion. So yeah, I guess starting out when you summarize the M1, you have to mention that it's just a very famous keyboard and sampler that you know from many songs from old school house. Um, like you have the house organ in here from Show Me Love from Robin S. Then you have Gypsy Woman, the same house organ, just slightly different. Um, then you have the famous M1 house piano, which was very popular in many um, yeah, old school house productions. And then now you also still have people using it to bring back this old school vibe. Um, in future house, many people use this piano. Then just now basically a song from Bruno Mars came out. What's the name again? Where they have this video about this old school vibe. I'm not exactly sure right now, but you have the house organ as well as the piano in that song heavily featured as well. Um, I just can't come up with the name. If you know which song I'm talking about, just put it in the comments, or maybe I put it there myself, because then you guys know what I'm talking about. It's kind of new 2018 Bruno Mars video. Um, anyway, so let's jump in. What can you do with the M1? So right off the bat, you have a huge amount of presets and very complex sounds in here. So you can basically choose between two different modes, which doesn't really make a big difference between those two. So I'm not even going to bother to explain them, because once you actually master using the M1, you're not going to care about these different modes anymore at all, because it's basically just about the types of presets. So that doesn't matter that much. Oh, actually, before we get started, I should say something on the side. This is just a quick intro video to the M1, but I'm gonna be uploading more complex videos about the M1 in the future. So if you don't want to miss those, make sure to subscribe and check out my channel here and there. I'm gonna make a playlist just regarding M1 tutorials and videos, so you can check those out. Yeah, so let's jump right in. So the basic idea behind the M1 is that you have these tabs over here, where you have something like 8 sound tabs, I might call them in this case. And each of these 8 places where you can pick sounds has actually 2 oscillators where you can pick from the big pool of basic sounds that the M1 has to offer. So you have all these different cards, and you can also have all of them in the search mode, where you have sounds ranging from keyboards, electric pianos, harps, basically acoustic instruments. Then you have mallets, organs, guitars, bass sounds, string sounds, even drums. You have more complex stuff. You have single waves, like different pulse waves, saw waves, and yeah, also synth waves. So you can even use the M1 as a synthesizer, kind of, because I mean it's sampled waveforms, but you do have, if you go in the synth waves, you can get like different, actually I guess it's here in the single wave. Yeah, single waves. You can have different pulse waves and saw waves and this kind of stuff. You have an analog wave, which also sounds really cool. I think it's like over here or something. Or then this one is in the synth waves, actually here, analog wave. So you have all these different sounds. You can pick 2 of them for each of these different yeah, thingies over here, which means you have 18 times 2. You can easily combine 16 sounds in one, and these sounds already sound pretty complex in itself. Okay, so that's what makes the M1 so sick. You can combine so many different sounds, and you can all route them differently, pan them differently, adjust the levels. So the idea behind this is to really have one tool that you can use to stack all of these different sounds on top of each other instead of having to use. In Ableton, it's cool to have an instrument rack, but if you're working in Logic or Fruity Loops or FL Studio, I think that's now, then M1 is cool to just work in there to make these huge sounds and layer stuff on top of each other easily. So you can layer a piano on top of an organ, then you can make a choir on top of there, and all of this kind of stuff. And what's also cool is that all of these sounds, like every single sound, has their own filter. So let's say you have a choir here in this universe preset, and you have the, yeah, you can filter that out, you know, and then you can modulate the filter with an envelope, just like in a synthesizer, basically. And then you also have an amp envelope, which is the guy down here. Yeah, so this is for the filters. So then you have these two different filters, which have their own envelope. Then you have your, for every sound, their own amp envelope. And you can also link those together, so they kind of move simultaneously, so you can make the sound more coherent. And then you have that times 8 for all of these different ones. If you then pick something. So now we have this guy over here. So you can also combine different presets with each other. Then all of these also have, all of these 8 tabs have two different effect thingies here, which you can use to throw on top of these sounds. So you can actually add some reverb and hall or chorus to one of the sounds, but not put it on the other one. And then in the end, you also have a master effect thing, where you can put effects on everything. So the options are endless here. You can make cool acoustic sounds, but you can also use it as a synthesizer, and that's kind of the idea behind the M1. You can work with the plugins, and if you go, the difference between the combi and the multi stuff is kind of how the routing is set up. So that you basically, in the multi tab, it is using multiple of these and combining different sounds, while in the combi tab, it's combining multiples of these, but always has only one oscillator in use. And then the routing is kind of different, but doesn't really matter. But you can go through the presets, and you can then go through the presets and copy stuff, because you can also copy and paste, as you see here. And then you can actually paste whole presets on top of each other and then use the filters and this kind of stuff. So I think that's the main principle behind the M1, that you make huge sounding sounds very easily within one window without having to go out of the software. And that's something pretty cool. So if you want to see some of the M1 stuff in action, feel free to subscribe, and check out, also subscribe to my M1 video playlist. I hope I'm going to fill that one up throughout the year. I'm uploading one video a day regarding or focusing on different things, but I'm going to try to kind of create some playlist where you can focus on the stuff that you're interested in. If you're not, for example, not an Ableton user, you're not going to be interested in the Ableton specific videos I'm going to make, but maybe in some of the other stuff. So yeah, I was glad to have you here. I hope you found out some interesting stuff, and I hope to see you around. Have a good one. Ciao.